Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome to the channel. My name is Sofia. If it's your first time, welcome to our community of Portuguese learners. Today's video it's going to be a little bit different than what I usually do. And I thought about showing you the inside of our Portuguese classes. So this video today it's an extract of a Portuguese class for A2 level in a group setting. For the privacy of the students and protection of their identities, the voices and images have been removed. But here's the juice of the class and hopefully a deep dive into the interrogative pronouns for you. So let's get started. Hoje nós aprendemos, today we learn pronomes interrogativos. So we learn the interrogatives. Some of them we already learned, but today we're going to go through all of them. Então, começamos. So we will start with a letter, uma carta. Uma carta means a letter. Remember, first of all, remember that if I would say a carta, I will be saying the letter. If I'm saying uma carta, I'm saying a letter. Então, olá Diogo, sou irlandês e chamo-me Daniel. So this one quite clear. Olá Diogo, sou irlandês e chamo-me Daniel. So we have a letter Daniel is writing to Diogo. O Daniel está a escrever uma carta para o Diogo. Daniel is writing a letter to Diogo. And he says, sou irlandês. I am Irish. Então, qual é a nacionalidade do Daniel? What is Daniel nationality? Ele é irlandês. So now let's continue. Sou irlandês e chamo-me Daniel. Moro e trabalho em Dublin. Sou professor numa escola. So we had qual é a nacionalidade do Daniel? Qual? What? Now we have onde. Onde é que ele trabalha e onde é que ele mora e trabalha. This one is for you. Take a look in the text to answer. Onde é que ele trabalha? Onde é que ele mora e trabalha? Our first pronoun is onde. How? This is an exercise that takes about 2 minutes to get done. So pause your video, answer to the question, and restart again. And the answer to this question is: ele trabalha numa escola. Ele mora e trabalha em Dublin. Maybe you notice this que here. This que, it's quite of a mannerism in Portuguese to add it in the questions. It doesn't have any specific meaning rather than emphasizing. So in reality, this question could have been asked as onde ele trabalha. This é que, onde é que, it's literally meaning where is that he works. In Portuguese, sometimes we say it, other times we don't say it. It can call a bit more the attention to the question to have this onde é que ele trabalha, but the meaning of the question is exactly the same if I say onde é que ele trabalha or if I say onde ele trabalha. I could also here have said qual é que é a nacionalidade do Daniel. Okay, so olá Diogo, sou irlandês e chamo-me Daniel, moro e trabalho em Dublin, sou professor de irlandês numa escola. Tenho 29 anos, sou de altura média, tenho cabelo escuro e às vezes tenho barba. So now we have como. Então, como means how. Como é que ele é? Once again, é que. Como ele é, how is he? This one I specifically put it like this because it's a little bit foreigner to the way we would ask in English. Yeah, in English, you would ask, how does he look like? In Portuguese, you would not translate directly to how does he look like. Our way of making that question, how does he look like, it's como ele é, how is he? How is he? You might ask, why? Or how do I know that I'm not asking about how is he feeling? Because I'm using é. So I'm using the verb ser. Let me write down as a way. You can have a comparison. Como ele é, how is he? With the verb ser, it's more about how is he permanently, like looking. It can also be personality. Como ele está, how is he? Using the verb estar would be the how is he doing, because it's temporary. So this one, it's a very tricky one because it's just yelling out loud how we have two different verbs for to be in Portuguese. And when I say como é que ele é, I'm using the verb ser. So it's all about how is he permanently. Like I said before, it can be about personality, it can be how he looks, how is he temporary, how is he doing. So tricky one, very different than English. Why? Because in English you only have one form of to be. But because we have two forms, then you have this clear distinction between permanent and temporary. And then furthermore, we can make these tricks like this question. Como é que ele é? Permanente, personalidade or aparência. So this will be how is he in terms of personality or appearance. Ok, 2 minutos para uma frase. Let's write down como é que ele é. Don't forget to change from the first person to the third person. Same as before, now we have a new question with the pronoun como. Pause your video for as long as you need to answer this question. Have a notebook or a sheet of paper next to you to write down the questions and the answers. This will help you in your learning process. And once you're ready to start, play the video again and continue watching the class. Okay, so so far, we have qual, onde, and now como. Qual would be our what or which. Onde, where, como, how. Let's see what else we have. Então, olá Diogo, sou irlandês e chamo-me Daniel. Moro e trabalho em Dublin. Sou professor de irlandês numa escola, tenho 29 anos, sou de altura média, tenho cabelo escuro e às vezes tenho barba. Acho que sou um irlandês típico. Sou simpático e gosto de ir com os meus amigos à noite ao pub. Os meus pais moram em Galway. Já não trabalham. Tenho uma irmã, é casada e tem um filho. Casada, married, feminine. So it's tenho uma irmã, é casada. She is married. I'm gonna just drop a little note on this part of com os meus amigos à noite. This will be the short way to say I like to go with my friends during the nighttime to the pub. And so the preposition we will use will be à noite, like in the night. For, let's say he prefers to go in the afternoon, we will also use à tarde. Yeah, à tarde. But if, let's say, he liked to go to the pub in the morning, we would not use amanhã. So for manhã, the exception changes to de manhã. So the same sentence if he was saying, I like to go with my friends in the mornings to the pub. Gosto de ir com os meus amigos de manhã ao pub. Let's say if he says, I like to go with my friends in the afternoons. Then it will be, gosto de ir com os meus amigos à tarde ao pub. Like the night, what is actually saying, gosto de ir com os meus amigos à noite ao pub. Now, if you ask why I cannot say à noite, amanhã, think about this word, amanhã. Amanhã, like amanhã means tomorrow. If I would say like this, it sounds like tomorrow. So, de manhã. There's a clear difference between when I say de manhã, during the morning, and if I say amanhã, tomorrow. This one, you really have to take care, because if you mistake and you say amanhã in the same way you would say à tarde or à noite, people will think that you are saying tomorrow. So take care with this one. So for this part, we have os meus pais moram em Galway. We learned already moram, to live as the address. Já não trabalham. Tenho uma irmã, é casada e tem um filho. Então, a pergunta é quantos irmãos ele tem e quantos filhos a irmã do Daniel tem. Duas perguntas. Quantos irmãos o Daniel tem? Quantos filhos a irmã do Daniel tem?
Now for the pronoun quantos. How many and how much? Pause the video, same as before. Take your time to write down the questions and the answers. And when you're ready, play again.
Muito bem. Boa. Então, ele tem uma irmã. He has one sister. Ele tem uma irmã. A irmã do Daniel, sister from Daniel, tem um filho. So now we are getting the letter more complete. Então, sou irlandês, chamo-me Daniel, moro e trabalho em Dublin, sou professor de irlandês numa escola, tenho 29 anos, sou de altura média, tenho cabelo escuro e às vezes tenho barba. Acho que sou um irlandês típico. Sou simpático e gosto de ir com os meus amigos à noite ao pub. Os meus pais moram em Galway, já não trabalham, tenho uma irmã, é casada e tem um filho. Procuro amigos em Portugal porque tenho interesse na língua portuguesa. Estudo português numa escola de línguas cá em Dublin. Então, os meus pais moram em Galway, já não trabalham. There's two words here I want to just pause to take a look. Os meus pais moram em Galway, já não trabalham. The word I want to take a look first is já. Specifically, já não trabalham. You might have seen the word já. Já has one meaning. Já não has a different meaning. So let's see. Já means yet or already. When I combine the word já with não, it means not anymore or not any longer. I pair it up here in this slide with ainda because já and ainda they have a very similar dynamic, as the affirmative has one meaning, and then when you pair it up with the word não, the meaning changes slightly. For example, já meaning yet or already. If I ask you, like, have you been at the supermarket? Já, already. But if you would say not yet, then it's not that you're saying já não, you're saying ainda não. Not yet. So the what is the word? The opposite of já is ainda não. Yeah, so já already, ainda não, not yet. Já não means not any longer. And ainda means still. In more practical terms, see the more important are actually these ones are really the opposites. Já, already, ainda não, not yet. But in the text, we are looking to já não. That means not anymore. Já não trabalham. Well, we have trabalham, which is plural. So we are talking about os pais do Daniel. Os pais do Daniel já não trabalham. Daniel's parents no longer work. Tenho uma irmã, I have a sister, é casada, married, and has one son. Procuro amigos em Portugal porque tenho interesse na língua portuguesa. I'm searching, procurar, search. Searching for friends in Portugal because I have interest in Portuguese language. Estudo português numa escola de línguas cá em Dublin. I study Portuguese in a language school cá em Dublin, here in Dublin. So the second word I want to take a look is cá. Cá means here. So the opposite of cá is lá. This is there. You might say, oh, but we learn aqui and ali. They are synonyms. They can appear quite interchangeable. I would say cá e lá are the more informal ways, as aqui e ali are more formal, so they can both show up as written or conversational. In this little note, I have here the idiomatic expressions. It's just very common expressions we use in Portuguese. We are using the word cá e lá, and anda cá is like come here, vamos lá is let's go. Not necessarily direct meanings, but very useful and related. Cá, here, lá, there. This one is interesting. I'm not sure if you have seen it already or if it's the first time. Notice we have procuro amigos em Portugal porque tenho interesse. Because I have interest. The question pronoun is porque. So if you haven't come along with this one, porque as a sentence means because, as a question means why. It's written the same way. In English, it's two different words. In Portuguese, it's the same word. Porque. And the question is, porque o Daniel escreve a carta? Why is Daniel writing the letter? So let's write down what is the reason that we think from the text.
Porque. Why as a question, because as an answer. Take your time to write the answer, pause the video, and replay it.
Procuro amigos em Portugal porque tenho interesse na língua portuguesa. Estudo português numa escola de línguas cá em Dublin. Falo inglês, irlandês e também um pouco de italiano. This one I think we don't need to translate. The question is: que línguas ele fala? Que línguas o Daniel fala? Então, que línguas ele fala? What languages he speaks? He speaks inglês, irlandês, um pouco de português e italiano. Gosto de cinema e de música pop. Os meus artistas favoritos são os U2 e a Adele. Now, remember the first question? Qual? Qual é a nacionalidade? Our last question, very similar, but with quais. And why am I using quais? Because it's a multiple answer. Os artistas favoritos. That's why I ask, quais são os seus artistas favoritos? What are his favorite artists?
And the last exercise of this letter. Quais são os seus artistas favoritos? Pause for 2 minutes or as long as you need to write down the answer and then play again and continue watching the video.
Muito bem. Então, os artistas favoritos do Daniel, ou os seus artistas favoritos são os U2 e a Adele. And then um abraço, Daniel. And so from all the letter, como, quantos, porque, que e quais. These are our interrogative pronouns. Qual can also have quais. It depends of if I am asking, for example, what is the nationality. I'm asking about one. Of course, I can. Some people have multiple nationalities, but we know that the more common way to ask is qual é a nacionalidad. Now, if I decide to ask something that most probably have multiple answers, like hobbies, what are your favorite hobbies? What are your favorite artists? What are your favorite countries to travel? Then I will use the plural. Quais são os artistas favoritos? Now, you can tell me, but what if I ask in singular? Then I can only give an answer in singular. No, you can also give an answer in plural. And then you say, why then I don't make always the question in singular? You can always make the question in singular. That's my answer to you. So, as Portuguese, we can use this and say, quais são os artistas favoritos? You will also find a lot of people that will ask you, qual é o teu artista favorito? And this doesn't imply that you only have to say one if you have more than one. Onde, where, como, how, quantos or quantas, how many or how much. This one we saw it when we learned the family. So if we say quantos, we are saying, for example, quantos filhos tens or quantas filhas tens. So the decision of quantos or quantas as masculine or feminine depends if it's following by a noun, and if the noun is masculine, it's masculine. If it's feminine, then it's feminine. If it's not a noun and it's a verb, then it's always masculine. Masculine singular. Remember when I say quanto custa? How much costs? If it's followed by a verb, it's always masculine singular. That's our default pattern. If we are following by a noun, then we agree with the noun, either if it's feminine, masculine, singular, or plural. That's why we have quantos, quantas. Okay, now we move to porque. Porque means because. It also means why. So as a statement means because. Porque gosto, because I like. As a question, porque gostas? Why you like? Porque gosto. Because I like. So another tricky moment in which it's really essential that you use the musicality of the language. Because porque gostas? Why you like? Porque gosto. Because I like. So always when there's a question, we need to lift, to go up, higher pitched, at least in the last word. Porque gostas? Porque gosto. Because I like. Now you see there's porque e porquê. They both mean the same, they mean why. First, when we make a question without anything follow, my question is only why. I say porquê. So if I make the question longer, like why do you like mangoes? I use porque. If I say I like mangoes and you say why, then you say porquê. There is also a difference of pronunciation between saying porque e porquê. Sometimes you will see that porquê can also show up in a longer sentence, in a longer question. Why is that happening? Because it has the redundant ek. Remember how I told you, oh, if when it has ek, it means is that, why is that you like? Yeah. In the other questions, it didn't make any difference. Like I mentioned, it's just a matter of mannerism or trying to make the question more enthusiastic. In this specific case of porque y porqué, if I use ek, it gives me a green card to use porqué. Otherwise, I don't. I use porque. Then we have que. That means what. Que means what. I'm also going to give a little note on this one because a lot of people, they see the questions being using qual and que. For example, when I say qual é a tua nacionalidade? And then I say que línguas falas? This is very confusing, especially for people who come from speaking English, because in English you say what is your nationality, what language you speak. And then in Portuguese you find that sometimes we say qual and other times we say que. First of all, we say qual when we have many options and we selecting one option to answer. So if I am saying, what is your nationality? What is your job? What is your profession? It's like I'm implying there is many options and I'm choosing from all these options. This is the one. So it's more one answer. Can present more answers. Que línguas falas? What languages you speak? I speak this or that. But mostly, que is also used to explain concepts. The most clear distinction between the use of qual and que. Because in these examples I give you, we are still kind of giving very much like from all these options, this is my nationality, these are the languages I speak. So there it can be a bit more blur. But when it comes to what do you think about this? What is your opinion? What is the state of something? We use que. So keep this one in mind when it's about like seeking for a definition or an explanation. I'm using que without a doubt. When I'm using qual, it's more about choosing from a limited set of options. There are also quando, when. I will send you today, I will send you a chapter from the grammar that is just to practice interrogatives. So feel free to complete and send me as well. This will be an extra one to the normal homework. You do it when you want, or you can just keep it for yourself. But also this specific part that I'm going to send you with the grammar has an explanation of as well all the interrogatives. And of course, if I am using the verb ser, something I also need to take care is if I use qual, qual is singular, so it'll be qual é. But if I use quais, then it's plural. So I'm using quais são. Same for quanto or quantos. So the verbs are varying on this. Okay. So this was the interrogative pronouns, what we have from all the letter, from the entire letter. As I mentioned before, also ka. Ka means here, la means there. We use both for location. They are interchangeable with aqui e ali. Aqui e ali tends to be more of a formal way, and cá e lá more of informal. But at the end of the day, both can be used in writing and conversational, even though cá e lá is more conversational. But don't worry, this is not slang. These both are Portuguese words, so they are valid to use it both in writing or speaking. Yeah. But for today, let's just do a quick recap with some questions using these interrogatives. So, for example, como te chamas? Como te chamas? Eu chamo-me Sofia. Como meaning how. But in this sentence is in this question it's meaning how are you called? Como te chamas? Which is a bit more exotic for the way you do it in English, but it's how we do in Portuguese. Como te chamas? Chamo-me Sofia. Qual é a tua nacionalidade? What is your nationality? Eu sou portuguesa. Quantos anos tens? Eu tenho 33 anos. Por que gostas de viajar? Why do you like to travel? Porque gosto de aprender mais sobre o mundo. Because I like to learn more about the world. Que tipo de dança gostas mais? What type of dance you like more? For example, eu gosto de dança contemporânea. And similar to qual, but here I bring more focus to have a multiple answer. I say, quais são as tuas comidas favoritas? What are your favorite foods? Or, quais são as tuas refeições favoritas? What are your favorite meals or dishes? Então, quais são as tuas comidas? When we use the word comida, it can be just the separate, like, eu gosto de bacalhau, brócolis e cenouras. I'm kind of highlighting more the ingredients. Refeições will always be about the meals, the dishes. So, for example, eu gosto de bacalhau à Brás. This is a typical Portuguese dish, prato português com bacalhau. Portuguese dish with codfish. Exemplo, porque gostas de Portugal? Eu gosto de Portugal porque é bonito. É bonito porque. Yeah, remember this porque as being isolated from the question. Just porque. Porque tem paisagens bonitas. Has beautiful landscapes. These are some examples. But now, agora tu, I have a couple of questions for you. Então, como te chamas? Qual é a tua nacionalidade? Porque gostas de viajar a Portugal? Ou porque gostas de Portugal? Que tipo de exercício gostas de fazer? What type of exercise you like to do? Quais são as tuas comidas favoritas? What are your favorite foods? Well done, everyone. Good job for making this far and sticking until the end. You have done quite far, and I'm very proud of you. This was an extract of the class. Some questions and observations of the students, like I mentioned, they were removed. I consider important to mention that in this tract of the letter, I did not mention the pronoun quem, that applies to people, and quando, that applies to time. This is part of one class. This group continue to learning. There are more classes. We go deep into
this topic and other topics and some more examples, but I did wanted to give you a sneak peek of what a class can look like in a formal setting with a small group of 7-8 people. So if you like it, don't forget, leave your like, comment your answers. If you have done all the exercises throughout this class, write down in the comment box below your answers or even sentences that you might have tried to make with these pronouns. Now I leave you a quick list of all the interrogative pronouns and their meanings and definitions. I hope this helps, and I hope to see you soon again. Don't forget, if you want to find me, you can find me on learnportuguesewithsofia.com or on my YouTube channel every week with new content about grammar and culture. I see you soon. Até já!